As the night wraps the world in its gentle silence and the last traces of light fade beyond the horizon, there comes a sacred moment that belongs to no one but the self, a moment untouched by the clamor of the day, a moment pregnant with reflection and serenity. It is in this quiet that the soul whispers to itself, and in these whispers, profound truths can be heard, truths that are often drowned in the noise of our waking hours. Before we surrender ourselves to the embrace of sleep, there is a ritual of the heart and mind, a ritual that requires nothing but our presence and sincerity. It is a pause, a sacred pause, in which you confront the mosaic of our day, the fragments of our actions, words, and thoughts, and we allow ourselves to breathe in the lessons embedded in each moment. In this moment, we look back upon the day that has passed, not with judgment, but with clarity. We examine the steps we have taken, the words we have spoken, the intentions we have carried. The day in all its fullness is a teacher, and each encounter, each decision, each fleeting thought holds a mirror to our soul. It is not in the grand events alone that the soul finds instruction, but often in the quiet, almost imperceptible acts, the gestures that slip unnoticed through the hours. Did we respond with kindness even when our hearts were heavy? Did we offer patience when irritation threatened to rule our tongue? Did we acknowledge the presence of others with genuine attention? Or did we move through the world blinded by our preoccupations? These reflections, when carried with honesty, illuminate not just our actions, but the essence from which they arose. Gratitude becomes the first language of this sacred pause. As we lie in the stillness, we summon the gifts of the day, even the smallest ones, and we recognize that life has offered them freely without condition. The breath that fills our lungs, the quiet moments when the heart has known peace, the smiles that brushed against our lives, the doors that opened even when we did not notice, they are all tokens of a grace that pervades existence. In acknowledging these gifts, we nurture the soul's capacity to see beyond scarcity, to perceive that life, in its intricate weave of trials and joys, is a continuous offering, a reflection of a greater benevolence that operates beyond our understanding. Gratitude at this hour is transformative, for it softens the mind, warms the heart, and prepares the spirit to rest with a sense of fullness rather than lack. As we cultivate gratitude, we also turn to the practice of seeking forgiveness, both from others and from ourselves. The day inevitably carries moments where our actions, intentionally or not, have caused discomfort, sorrow, or harm. In the stillness before sleep, we acknowledge these moments with humility. We recognize the errors of our judgment, the harshness of our words, the negligence in our attentions. This is not a moment of self-reproach, but of honest appraisal, a sacred dialogue with our conscience. Forgiveness is offered first to the world, to those who may have borne the weight of our mistakes silently or openly, in hope that healing can ripple beyond what we can see. Then we extend the same mercy inward to the self that stumbles, that falters, that wrestles with imperfections. To forgive oneself is to recognize that growth is not a straight path, that the soul learns through trial, and that the journey toward virtue is paved with both missteps and revelations. In this quiet examination, we come to the practice of making peace. Not the kind of peace that is merely a truce with circumstance, but the profound, deliberate reconciliation within the heart. We release the burdens of resentment, the weights of unmet expectations, the chains of grudges carried through the day. We untangle the knots of anger, disappointment, and regret, allowing them to fall away like leaves from a tree in autumn. This act of internal reconciliation is subtle yet monumental, for it frees the mind from the endless cycles of rumination and releases the heart to rest. To sleep with a heart unburdened, even if just slightly lighter, is to allow the soul to regenerate, to integrate the lessons of the day, and to awaken more aligned with the truth of our higher purpose. The sacred pause is also a space to witness the self in its raw form. Stripped of the distractions and defenses that fill waking hours, we confront who we are, not the persona we present to the world, not the roles we inhabit, but the essence beneath. What desires did we nurture today? And which did we feed that were not aligned with our higher values? Where did fear dictate our choices, and where did courage emerge, however subtly? By observing these currents within, we gain insight into the patterns that shape our existence. We see the interplay of light and shadow within, the moments when we acted from clarity and those when we were led by impulse. This witnessing is not an act of judgment, but of awareness. A loving recognition that we are ever in process, ever becoming, ever called to return to integrity, compassion, and wisdom. And in this witnessing, there is a call to humility. To lie in stillness and acknowledge our place in the vast web of existence is to recognize that our days are threads in a tapestry far greater than our immediate understanding. Our actions, though impactful, ripple through a world of intricate relationships, unseen consequences, and interconnected destinies. Humility does not diminish the significance of our choices. Rather, it situates them within a broader, sacred context. It teaches that while we are responsible for our deeds, we are also participants in a grand unfolding, a cosmic dialogue in which our soul is both a voice and a listener. The pause before sleep becomes a doorway into this humility, a portal through which we can release the illusion of total control and surrender to the wisdom that governs the universe beyond our comprehension. The mind, often restless with the clutter of unfinished tasks, worries, and projections into the future, finds clarity in this sacred pause. We allow thoughts to arise and pass like clouds across a night sky, neither clinging to them nor pushing them away. We witness without attachment, and in doing so, we cultivate a deep serenity. This clarity does not demand perfection, it simply requires presence. By observing the patterns of our mind, the habitual loops of anxiety and distraction, we gain mastery over them, not through force, but through gentle awareness. The quiet before sleep is a fertile ground for such mastery, for the mind, unhurried and attentive, can dissolve its tensions and align itself with the rhythm of the soul. There is also an invocation of hope in this moment, a recognition that each day, no matter how challenging or trivial, is a step along a path that unfolds with purpose. As the night deepens, we acknowledge the potential of tomorrow without obsession, trusting that the seeds planted in reflection, gratitude, forgiveness, and peace will bear fruit. This hope is not naive or optimism. It is a quiet confidence that the effort invested in self-awareness and the cultivation of virtue resonates beyond immediate perception. To go to sleep with hope is to honor the continuity of life, to recognize that every ending is also a beginning, and that the soul, nurtured in contemplation, carries the light of its own awakening into the next dawn. In this sacred pause, we may also turn our attention to the invisible connections that link us to others, to the world, and to the divine essence that permeates all existence. We contemplate the web of relationships, the interdependence of beings, the subtle ways in which our actions affect and are affected by the larger flow of life. Gratitude, forgiveness, peace, and humility extend outward from the self, touching lives we may never encounter consciously. The pause becomes a bridge between the intimate interiority of our own being and the expansive reality that surrounds us. It reminds us that though sleep may separate us from the immediate awareness of the world, the intentions cultivated in this stillness ripple outward, shaping the harmony, compassion, and beauty of existence in ways both seen and unseen. The sacred pause is ultimately a practice of integrity, a moment in which we align the self with its highest aspirations, where our inner dialogue resonates with truth rather than pretense, where the commitments we make to our own conscience reflect the moral compass that guides us. Integrity in reflection requires courage, for it is easier to gloss over our failings than to confront them. Yet, it is precisely in this confrontation that the soul finds freedom. By acknowledging our shortcomings without defensiveness, by embracing the totality of our being without denial, we cultivate a wholeness that carries us beyond the superficiality of daily existence. Sleep, then, is not a mere cessation of activity, but a continuation of this integrity in a state of receptivity where the soul integrates the lessons of the day and prepares to emerge renewed. In the end, this sacred pause before sleep is a gentle, profound meditation on life itself. It is a moment of truth, of quiet accountability, of tender recognition of the self in its entirety. It is a space where gratitude meets humility, where forgiveness intersects with love, where awareness merges with hope, and where peace flows through the channels of the heart. To honor this moment is to honor life, for in reflecting, forgiving, and making peace, we participate consciously in the unfolding of our own existence. Each night, as the world sleeps, The soul is given the opportunity to awaken to itself, to recognize its capacity for growth, and to rest not merely in the absence of activity, but in the presence of understanding, in the embrace of meaning, in the quiet satisfaction of having engaged fully with the essence of being. As the veil of night envelops the world and the last traces of light retreat beyond the horizon, there exists a moment both intimate and profound, a moment suspended between the closing of one day and the birth of another. It is a sacred hour, a threshold in which the soul can plant seeds that will take root in the fertile soil of tomorrow. Just as the earth rests under the cover of darkness, absorbing silently the nutrients of the past and preparing for the emergence of life anew, so too does the soul, in the quiet before sleep, absorb the lessons of the day and anticipate the possibilities of the next. This hour is a silent invitation to intentionality, to conscious creation, to the deliberate shaping of one's inner landscape in ways that will ripple outward into the unfolding of life. The first act in this sacred planting is the setting of intentions. Intentions are more than mere wishes. They are declarations of alignment between the self as it exists and the self as it aspires to be. In this pause, we consider what kind of person we wish to become, what qualities we wish to cultivate, what virtues we wish to embody. It is not a matter of superficial resolutions, easily forgotten with the dawn, but of quiet, earnest promises whispered into the soul, promises grounded in awareness and sincerity. Each intention is a seed, small and delicate, carrying within it the potential to grow into a tree of character, wisdom and influence. To set an intention is to plant a marker of hope, a declaration to oneself that the day to come will be met with conscious effort, guided by the inner compass of truth and integrity. As we plant these seeds, we make a silent promise to ourselves, a promise that tomorrow, however challenging, we will strive to act in accordance with the highest aspirations of our heart. It is a commitment to improvement, not in a spirit of self-criticism, but in a spirit of love and self-respect. The promise may be simple: to respond with patience where frustration arises, to speak words that heal rather than harm, to act with honesty even when deception would be easier. Or it may be profound: to carry courage into moments of fear, to extend compassion to those who seem undeserving, to nurture faith when doubt clouds the mind. In making this promise, we recognize that the soul's growth is continuous, that each day is an opportunity to align more closely with our higher purpose, and that small, deliberate efforts accumulate into profound transformation over time. Visualization becomes the next act of planting. As the mind settles into the quiet, we imagine the day to come as if it were already unfolding according to our intentions. We see ourselves moving through the hours with grace, responding to challenges with wisdom, embracing joy with openness, and meeting adversity with resilience. We picture the interactions we hope to have, the attitudes we wish to carry, and the sense of harmony we desire to cultivate within ourselves. This exercise is not fantasy, it is an active shaping of consciousness, a rehearsal of virtue in the theater of the mind. By envisioning the possibilities of our better selves, we create a blueprint that the soul can follow, and in doing so, we plant the seeds of action that tomorrow's life will germinate. In this practice, patience is a companion. The seeds we plant tonight may not sprout immediately, nor may they produce the visible fruits of change overnight. Growth, whether in the soil or in the soul, requires time, attention, and gentle nurture. We cultivate patience by understanding that transformation is incremental, that each thought, each intention, each act contributes to a trajectory that may be invisible in the moment but powerful in its cumulative effect. To go to sleep with patience is to embrace the quiet confidence that the effort invested in planting seeds tonight will not be lost, that the intention set in the sacred pause will influence the course of tomorrow, and that the soul, tenderly guided, will continue its evolution in harmony with the rhythms of life. The act of planting seeds also carries with it a profound sense of responsibility. The mind may wander to desires for material success, recognition, or comfort, but the seeds that endure are those that nourish the soul and the lives of others. Intentions are not merely for self-advancement, they are declarations of stewardship over the life entrusted to us. They are commitments to contribute to goodness, to cultivate kindness, to embody patience, and to inspire hope. Each intention though sown in the quiet of one's own heart, has the potential to ripple outward, touching others in ways both subtle and monumental. To plant seeds responsibly is to recognize that the life we shape internally inevitably shapes the world externally. And that conscious, virtuous intention is the most enduring gift we can offer to the unfolding of tomorrow. Reflection accompanies the act of planting. As we consider the day that is ending, we discern the lessons it has offered, the successes that affirmed our capacity for virtue, the failures that revealed the areas in need of growth. The moments of stillness that reminded us of the quiet strength within these reflections inform the seeds we plant, ensuring that they are not abstract or detached from reality, but grounded in the lived experience of our journey. By integrating insight with intention, we craft a more precise and potent blueprint for the day to come. The seeds are not merely hopeful aspirations, they are guided by understanding, by the wisdom that comes from having walked through the complexities, joys, and sorrows of life. Humility once again finds its place in this practice. While we set intentions and visualize our higher selves, we recognize the limitations inherent in human endeavor. We acknowledge that circumstances beyond our control may challenge our efforts, that other souls may act in ways that test our resolve, and that life, in its unpredictability, may offer trials we have not foreseen. Yet, within this humility, there is freedom. For in planting seeds without attachment to immediate outcomes, we participate fully in the creative process without being bound by the illusion of control. We accept that the act of intention itself holds value, that the cultivation of the soul is continuous, and that the seeds sown in conscious awareness will bear fruit according to a wisdom greater than our own. The sacred pause also invites gratitude for the potential of tomorrow. Just as the night provides rest for the body, it offers the soul a quiet anticipation of possibility. We cultivate appreciation not only for what has been, but for what may yet come. Gratitude in this moment is an acknowledgement that life is a gift in its entirety, that each new day is a canvas upon which we may paint with the colors of our intention, and that the seeds we plant carry the promise of growth and contribution beyond what we can foresee. By embracing this gratitude, we anchor our aspirations in joy rather than anxiety, in hope rather than fear, and in trust rather than doubt. Finally, there is a merging of awareness, intention, and surrender. As the mind quiets and the body prepares for rest, we release the seeds into the unseen soil of time, knowing that their growth will be nurtured by our conscious attention, by the subtle laws of cause and effect, and by the unfolding wisdom of life itself. This release is not resignation, it is a profound act of faith and alignment, a recognition that the soul's efforts, guided by clarity and virtue, resonate in ways that transcend immediate perception. To sleep with this awareness is to honor both the responsibility and the mystery of existence, to trust in the potency of intention, and to awaken with a readiness to embody the potential that has been carefully, consciously planted. In this sacred act of planting seeds, the soul touches eternity. Each thought, each intention, each silent promise is a thread woven into the fabric of time, contributing to a legacy of growth, virtue, and conscious presence. The night becomes not merely a time of rest, but a fertile ground for creation. A sanctuary in which the self cultivates its highest aspirations and prepares to step into the light of a new day with purpose, clarity, and love. The seeds planted in this quiet moment are the foundations of transformation, the instruments of moral and spiritual development, and the means by which the soul participates consciously in the unfolding of its destiny. Through this practice, we learn the profound art of conscious living, to move through each day with deliberate attention, to align action with aspiration, to embody virtue even in subtle choices, and to recognize that the smallest seeds, nurtured with sincerity, may grow into the greatest manifestations of goodness. To end the day with such planting is to honor the sacred rhythm of life itself, to engage in the eternal dance between effort and grace, and to rest in the assurance that the soul's quiet cultivation during the night shapes the reality of tomorrow in ways that are both seen and unseen, both immediate and eternal.